always say slavery ended 400 years ago. But the truth is, it never really ended. It just changed names. It went from plantations to prisons, from chains to contracts, from masters to managers.
In the fields in the sweltering Louisiana heat, watched over by armed guards and wolf dog hybrids. This is the biggest maximum security prison in the United States, and one of the most dangerous. The Louisiana State Penitentiary at Angola is located an hour's journey north of Baton Rouge. The prison began as an actual plantation, at which enslaved black people picked the same crops that the prisoners do under similar conditions today. In modern times, the prison population is 74% black. Field work is the default job for most prisoners at Angola, and switching over to other jobs is difficult. For their labor, prisoners earn as little as 2 cents per hour.
Well, peace, everybody. Welcome to the live. We're going to get into why I played that video. It's very significant. That's a video that I did on the series that I did with the Pope, the Papa Bulls, and the connection to Ethiopia. But Angola is very important. But before I get into that, I'd like to also share this video with you guys.
Ethiopia is the biblical land. When you deal with, so y'all, let's talk about why we say Ethiopia is the biblical land. When you deal with the Horn of Africa, Ethiopia, you're dealing with a history that connects to the Bible in so many ways. It's crazy how people deny it. But in the late 1900s, they had an operation called the Operation of Moses that was set up by America and Israel. And it was to take Ethiopians from Ethiopia and bring them to Israel. Ethiopian Jews. Now, Ethiopian Jews didn't migrate to Ethiopia. Ethiopian Jews was already in Ethiopia. So for you to have this operation, and this thing going on, and people know nothing about it, and a lot of these documents were just released in the 2000s. So when we say Ethiopia is the biblical land, y'all, all the higher ups, I wouldn't say all, but majority of the higher ups, they know these things. We don't know these things, so we can't fight for these things, so we can't never win the fight. Or we can't even play the game if we don't know stuff like this. You can't even, it's like you walk into the court and you watching everybody else play. That's what we doing. We watching everybody else play, but we can't play the game because we don't know the simple truth. The throne of David is in Ethiopia. The Bible comes from Ethiopia. The first paintings of Jesus come from Ethiopia. The Solomonic dynasty come from Ethiopia. So when we say these things, they are so far-fetched from our people and our so-called conscious community to where what? We can't play the game. So how we gonna win if we can't play? So you wonder why we not winning. So if you're seeing this, we live, come join us. Let's talk about it.
Peace. So we're live. And we're picking up where we left off on the last stream, where we were talking about Beta Israel. And Beta Israel literally means house of Israel, right? Those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, the live stream that we recently did, not including the other live streams that we did that were about the Pope, like I said, and the Papal Bulls connected to them colonizing nations, colonizing the world with this information. So we broke down information from a CIA document that said Beta Israel had to be acknowledged by the state of Israel. Yes, the state of Israel that was created in 1948. Um, so this information connects to Emperor Tedros. It connects to Menelik. It connects to other kings that sat on the throne of David in Ethiopia. And we're going to continue to review receipts, CIA documents that have been released. This particular document that we're going to talk about today was released in 2000, I think 2007 or 2003. But y'all, it's a pattern and we just can't ignore this pattern. So, first of all, before I get into this document, beta means house. Literally. In Gies or Amharic, beta literally means house. So beta Israel means house of Israel. When I saw that, I thought about the scripture in Luke 11, I think it's 11, 20 or 24, where it talks about the unclean spirits in the house. Now, y'all, if beta means house, and I was thinking about this scripture and it said, let me just get the scripture so I don't. Okay, so when the unclean spirit is gone out of a man, he walketh through dry places seeking rest, and finding none, he saith, I will return unto my house where I came out. And when he cometh, he findeth it swept and garnished. Then goeth he and taketh to him 7 other spirits more wicked than himself, and they enter in and dwell there. And the last state of that man is worse than the first. So I don't know why I thought about that. Well, I know why I thought about that. It's not talking about what we're bringing out today, but I thought about that because, you know, information this is all talking about the information that's in the house, the mind. So it's saying like the unclean spirits would be like the deception that you have in the mind. So when those unclean spirits leave, when you finally accept the truth and say, I'm not going to believe these things anymore because I'm accepting the truth and the truth is in my face and I can't deny it because these are the facts and it's the truth. You're getting rid of those unclean spirits, right? But let's say you wake up the next day and you change your mind and you say, you know what? Even though what I knew at first has been proven to be wrong, I still am very unsure about what I was just told. And now you want to get rid of that too, because now you're doubting the information that you just received. So you want to get rid of that. Now you got rid of the old information and you got rid of what you've been told recently. Your mind has been cleaned, right? But you have not fully accepted the truth. So now you have a clean house that's open for those deception, open for the deception to come back in. This is what this is talking about. So I think it's time to just accept the truth and clean the house. Keep the house clean. Accept the truth because the truth is clean. And welcome to Upgrade with Yah. And that's what we do. We upgrade with God. And you know how you do that? With the truth, spirit and truth. No debate, no interpretation. That's just the linguistic facts of, what we're talking about. Beta means house. Let's get back to it. No debate, no interpretation needed. It's just, that's what it means. What house means in the Bible, like we just said, it never really meant a physical building. The house of David wasn't about David's brick and mortar home, y'all. The house of Judah wasn't a structure. The house of Israel wasn't a GPS location. House meant lineage, mindset, inheritance, identity. House, It represents people shaped by covenant, people carrying a spiritual consciousness, people walking in divine identity. Now, before I continue, I want to. Last time we talked about this book, we read some stuff out of this book called Abyssinia and Its People. And I might go back into that book today. But first, let me find. I'm going to share the document, the CIA document, really quick with y'all. Let me close this. And I don't have the music playing because I just don't. This one right here. Okay, I don't know if y'all can see that, but this is the document. This is the main topic for the day. It is called Ethiopia, the Unfinished Revolution. Okay. I don't want to ramble, and I do have a tendency to kind of get off topic. So I wanted to stay on the topic. I want to stay on topic. And the topic of the day is this document. And we're going to talk about Ethiopia, the unfinished revolution. But like I said, in the last live stream we did, we talked about Beta Israel, because the CIA document that we revealed in that stream, it has it had a sentence in there that said that Beta Israel had to be recognized by the state of Israel. And this happened in like the 1970s. Matter of fact, y'all, I do want to play the music. Oh, I can't really play it. I'll play it in the background. Never mind. Anyway, so I wanted to kind of connect the dots with the Beta Israel thing. So this stream, I think the name of this stream is going to be Truth Revealed. Ethiopia is the biblical land. Okay, Ethiopia is the biblical land. Now, when the Beta Israel is the people whose mind, traditions, and spiritual identity align with the original Israelite consciousness, the consciousness aligned with God. Okay. In Hebrew, and I want to say Hebrew, but y'all, I don't want this to go over y'all head. And what we know as Hebrew, Israel is Yisrael, and a lot of people do pronounce it like that, but Yisrael with a Y, Yisra-E-L, like in God, I think it means. And I think I do have a Bible. It's called the Scripture. And in that book, in that particular Bible, instead of it saying God, it says L-E-L in that book. Okay. It says it means one who wrestles with God and prevails, one who rules with God. So the name itself speaks to spiritual strength, alignment, revelation, truth, divine mind, and an Israelite is someone who wrestles with deception, stands in truth, carries divine insight, and shines light into darkness. So that matches exactly what we're talking about here. Now, let's not lose focus of what we're saying, because this is about Beta Israel. And Beta Israel was Ethiopia. It was the Ethiopian people, okay? Beta Israel had to be recognized as the original Jews in the 1970s. They had to recognize them because they had to. They were the original. It's a fact. So this is what we're talking about. Now, right here, I'm connecting the dots. So, breaking it down, what is Beta Israel? What does Beta Israel really mean? um, so, house represents the mind or the lineage or the inheritance. Israel will represent the alignment, the revelation, truth. So, house of Israel would mean the people who carry God's mind and truth. And Beta Israel was the Ethiopian community preserved. They are the people that preserved that identity. While the rest of the world was pushing a different narrative, they were preserving that identity because they were the origin of it. So um let's see, it says that they kept that consciousness, they kept those traditions, they kept the spiritual identity even way before Europeans and the state of Israel ever even heard of these traditions. Okay, so why Ethiopia kept the identity others lost? Because Ethiopia preserved the oldest biblical manuscripts, ancient oral traditions. Because in this book, the book that we read on the last stream, Abyssinia and its people, in that book, it talked about how they they didn't really write things down like that. Like they wrote that it had the oldest biblical manuscripts, like for the priests, but everything was oral. It was written in the book that their people always did everything in face-to-face communication, and it was talking about that. It pointed that out because the Europeans didn't like that. It was a lot of things that these people practiced and did that the Europeans, particularly US and British people, they didn't like that. Okay. um like we said in the last stream, they kept the Sabbath. That's where it was the origin of it, the dietary laws. And even in CIA documents, it talks about the Ark of the Covenant being the origin of it is Ethiopia. Okay. And they didn't go through Roman rewritings and Greek reshapings or European editings of scripture. They preserved what was already theirs. They are Beta Israel, the house of Israel, the people that had the mind or thought like God. It's the origin. Um, So it says house in Semitic languages across Hebrew, Amharic, and Ge'ez, beta, all mean the same thing: family, lineage, consciousness, covenant, not a literal house that's built with bricks. And you know what I'm saying? It's talking about something else. Israel is spiritual. Okay. Um, okay, so none of this is really about what we're talking about today. So then it talks about how the Western redefined it. Rome, Europe, and 1948 politics all shift the meaning of Israel away from its original spiritual roots. Okay. Thinking like God. To think like God means walking in truth, seeing through illusions, revealing what's hidden, carrying spiritual discernment, wrestling with lies, and winning. That is the definition of Israel. Okay. Now, like I said, I might read some of that, but I want to focus on this document and what it says, because it's gonna tie all of this together. Well, it's so many other documents that we have to reveal, but this one, Ethiopia, the unfinished revolution. It kind of tells you, like, why were they interested in Ethiopia? Why were they over there? Why did they want the land? We already told you one of the reasons was because the Red Sea. We've already connected the dots to the East African slave trade as well. So here in the introduction, it says, I'm not going to read it. It's like 10 pages. This is public information. You can find this document online. Part 2 of this document tries, let me see if I can, so where it's in the middle. Part 2 tries briefly to place Ethiopia in its East African context. Part 3 is concerned with Ethiopia's international role and its relations with the US and that Soviet Union. So it's just telling you here in CIA documents released in 2007, it's revealing Ethiopia's role and its relations with the US and the Soviet Union. So I'll just read the introduction. Ethiopia's creeping revolution, now some 8 months old, has not yet unfolded to the point where we can speak with confidence about the nature of the successor regime of the policies that will eventually take shape. Thus far, a single leader has not taken stage, center, and dominated the revolution. Factions within the military are still locked in struggle to capture command of the revolution that is largely being played out away from the public view. Maybe that's where the saying come from. The revolution will not be televised. It's never in the public view. What follows is thus necessarily in term assessment on where the country stands now and direction it will take in the months to come. We have divided the subject somewhat arbitrarily into 3 parts. Part 1 discusses Ethiopia's internal political situation and where that appears to be headed. Part 2, it tries briefly to place Ethiopia in its East African context. Part 3 is concerned with Ethiopia's international role and its relations with the US and that Soviet Union. Okay. Now, all of this we have been revealing. Let me see. I've known Yaju for 3 years. He's been revealing this information for the last, I want to say 10 years. Okay. Now, we just ran across these documents and it's saying what we've been saying, that East Africa, the Horn of Africa, Ethiopia, Abyssinia, this is where they stole the biblical stories from. We've been saying that this is where it comes from. And these CIA documents were released to the public in 2007. Hopefully the dots are connecting, because I just did a whole series on the Papal Bulls, and these CIA documents are connecting the dots to all the information in those videos, including the last few lives that I did about, they even recently went to it's a museum in North Carolina or South Carolina. I can't remember. They went there, and on the website, it said that they had information about the East African slave trade, but when they got there, there was nothing. So why is the East African slave trade information being hidden from the public like that? Because it connects Ethiopia, and here in this CIA document, it's going to show you why the U.S. was over there minding somebody else's business, turning family against each other. Now, another thing revealed in the previous videos was the resources in Ethiopia. I think that was in some of the CIA documents about it was gold there. That's what they wanted, the gold. They wanted the resources, and they wanted the routes that, the Red Sea, and I think the Niger Sea or something like that. They wanted access to those routes. Y'all, it's so much information, but luckily we got it all on video and you can go back and watch it. So here, I'll read above where I highlighted so you kind of know what's going on. There's a general that they're trying to place in a leadership role in Ethiopia. You know why? I don't even have to get into it. So one of the military's less well-known of figures may yet emerge as the revolution's acknowledged leader. This process could take many months, perhaps a year or more. One prospective candidate for such a role is Tessima Aradash, an Air Force colonel. He is an ally of the moderates, part of Ayman's encounter, and deputy commissioner of the Drought Relief Commission. This latter position could provide him with the means of exceeding his power and his influence. So this is the part that I highlighted because this tells you why. Land reform will be the first major program carried out by the military. Land reform. Somalia will not try to seize the Ogaden. And remember in the last, it may have been, I don't know. Yeah, I did a few streams leading up to this one. I may change the title to the videos, like part 1, part 2, part 3, because I think we on part 9 or something. In one of the videos, we told you, I told you that Ogaden, that was Ethiopia. That was in Ethiopia. So Somalia was not. It says Somalia will not try to seize the Ogaden unless there is an almost complete breakdown in order inside of Ethiopia. So they were trying to destroy the order in Ethiopia. And I'm kind of cold. I hope y'all can still hear me with the heat on. It's cold in here. I gotta turn the heat on. So they were trying to cause some problems in the house amongst the family. Okay, y'all. So it says, this is a CIA document, by the way, if y'all missed that part. Somalia will not try to seize the Ogaden unless there is an almost complete breakdown in the order inside of Ethiopia. So they had to cause chaos. Okay. Ethiopia will give stronger emphasis to non-alignment while trying to maintain good relations with Western countries, especially close economic and military ties with the U.S. We don't even have to go into detail about who the biggest consumers are in the U.S. that causes the economics to be crazy here. Like that's why they have always been in the lead when it comes to economics. Okay. If the moderates become seriously dissatisfied with U.S. military aid, they might carry out a more basic shift in foreign policy as a means of appeasing the radicals and bidding for major Soviet support. Okay. Now it talks about internal policies. With the disposition last month of Haile Selassie, the military emerged as the undisputed center of supreme political authority in Ethiopia. The ruling armed forces, however, are divided within their own ranks and are not yet able to provide coherent leadership. The political change set in motion by the military revolt is irreversible. It's irreversible. It's irreversible. The old order, based on position, wealth, and family connections, has been destroyed. The monarchy has been retained for the moment, but we believe the ruling Armed Forces Coordinating Committee, whatever its original intention, will probably opt soon for a Republican form of government. Let me read this again. The old order, based on position, wealth, and family connections, has been destroyed. The monarchy has been retained for the moment, but we believe the ruling Armed Forces Coordinating Committee, whatever its original intention, will probably opt soon for a Republican form of government. So this was 1974. Beyond acquiring power and neutralizing the political establishment under the former emperor, the military has done little to reorder Ethiopia's social and economic fabric, despite its earlier promises. I don't know if any of you guys caught it on, I don't even remember if that may have been on the TikTok live where we were talking about promises made that were never kept. There is something called a promise of apostle that can be filed in a court of law when a government, or I don't exactly remember all of the details, but it's something called the promise of an apostle. If you are diverse in law and you know what I'm talking about, chime in. Okay. All of this is evidence of war crimes. All of these things that we're bringing out is evidence of war crimes and crimes against humanity. This is evidence of people that have been scattered, and they are a casualty of this war. And if they have never been returned to their land, don't know where their land is, who their ancestors really are, then that would be, what's the word I'm looking for? Those people would be prisoners of war. And these documents that we're revealing to you guys is the evidence that we, the scattered people, the African diaspora, we are prisoners of war. So if you are, let's call you a revolutionary attorney, these documents, this is the evidence. We are evidence. And I'll just leave it on the table. We're supposed to be coming together because everybody want to be the chosen. Everybody want to be from the tribe of Judah. Everybody want to be a Israelite. Everybody want to be Israel. Everybody want to claim these things, but nobody wants to stand up and speak when we bring out documents, evidence, receipts, showing you who and where and what. Beta Israel literally means house of Israel. All of these things come from the Bible as we know it. If we didn't have the Bible, we wouldn't know anything about any of these things. And what we're telling you is that this information came from Ethiopia, and these documents, CIA documents that were secret up until 2007, reveals who Beta Israel is, who Israel is, where it came from. That's the origin, Ethiopia. All of this is connected to the East African slave trade. All of this is connected to Ethiopia's business with the US and the Europeans, British, and we all know that's connected to the Roman Catholic Church because I've we've tied it with receipts. The papal bulls. We don't have to we don't even have to bring these things out. This is public information. But somebody got to reveal it, huh? That's the revealing, I guess. So let's get back to it. Where did I stop? So they were going to opt for a Republican form of government in a whole nother land. That's not even their land. Beyond acquiring power and neutralizing the political establishment under the former emperor, the military has done little to reorder Ethiopia's social and economic fabric, despite its earlier promises. They promised to do things and they never did it, because if they would have done it, then it wouldn't have benefited them. That's why they never did it. For the most part, the impact of the revolution so far has been confined to the top layer of the upper classes and to the cities. Now listen to this, y'all. The bulk of the peasant population remains unaffected, although there have been numerous isolated instances of peasants taking matters into their own hands and attempting to seize lands from their landlords. So these people came in and became the landlords. Wow. Wow. Just wow. Like I said, I'm not going to read all of it. I highlighted some things in here because I already read it. So let's take a look at this. A commitment to the establishment of constitutional government. The military has, however, created expectations of further significant change and has made numerous promises of specific new policies. At this time, the basic goals of the Armed Forces Coordinating Committee appear to be complete destruction of the feudal social order and an end to the local demonstration. Ooh, I don't know what that was, and I'm not editing it out. The local demonstration by the provincial elite. This is to be accomplished mainly by the land reform and by the enactment of new laws altering the relationship between tenant and landlord. Let me get some to drink. Okay. A reordering of economic priorities to give emphasis to improving the lot of the less affluent. The committee wants active government encouragement of economic development and plans a larger direct economic role for the government. Okay. Maintenance of Ethiopia's present boundaries combined with the introduction of a measure of political decentralization for the country's diverse ethnic and regional groups, the new leaders clearly will not tolerate separatism. However, members of the coordinating committee, while endorsing these broad goals, differ on the pace and methods of change. Now it goes into all of this, and this is why I really didn't want to read it, because we can read all day and a lot of this stuff, because I don't speak politics, and I definitely don't speak military language. A lot of this stuff I don't really know what it's talking about, but I can kind of figure it out with some of the words that it's using. That's why I'm not going to read all 10 pages, and I'm just highlighting the points that can be used as evidence. A constant shifting of alliances both within and between the units represented on the committee complicates the task of defining the various factions. Okay, so a basic division, however, has emerged between a majority group with essentially moderate objectives, which so far has commanded majority support within the committee, and a more radically inclined minority group. Almost all the committee's major decisions have reflected the moderates' viewpoint. Then it talks about the radicals. The radicals had their own way only on the disposition of Haile Selassie, in which they were aided by an accumulation of evidence of the ex-emperor's corruption. So they're saying in this CIA document that Haile Selassie was corrupted, which I think we all know that by now. The moderates, if they stayed in charge, will probably stop short of establishing a thoroughly socialist economy. They appear prepared to allow private enterprise and foreign investment a significant role to refrain from large-scale naturalization of business, except for those enterprises in which the royal family and other aristocrats have major interests. So here it's talking about the royal family's major interests. How many times we got to say it? I just connected all the dots for you. And here in this CIA document is telling you the royal family had a major interest. U.S. military had a major interest. So come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. So who sent the U.S. military over there? More than likely the royal family that had a major interest. And what were they going for? They were amazed that these people had cotton and they knew how to make clothing out of cotton. They wrote books about the gold and the resources and the routes that were easy to travel. In this book, it also talked about the people and how those people were so kind. And I can only imagine they were thinking how they could take advantage of these kind-hearted people. I think that was all I highlighted. No, I didn't. I highlighted somewhere. So let's see. I highlighted this part, but I'm looking above the C. I'm going to read a little bit. It says, pursue better. Just as there is conflict between moderate and radical military factions over the nature and pace of domestic reform, we think these differences spill over into the foreign policy field. As long as moderates are dominant in the coordinating committee, we expect that it and the predominantly civilian cabinet fronting for it are likely to follow these guidelines. Pursue better relations within the system. I'm sorry, y'all, because the words are kind of like choppy and blurry. Pursue better relations with sympathetic religion states such as Sudan, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and Iran. We expect the Ethiopians to look to the Saudis and Iranians for arms and economic aid. The Ethiopians will be that doesn't say imported. I think it's imported by Libya to establish closer ties. So they wanted Ethiopia to depend on other people. But okay, we're going to keep going because I didn't highlight that part. So it really wasn't, let's just keep going. Emphasize, these were the guidelines that I'm reading right now. Emphasize third world solidarity more than did the old regime, and loosen political ties with the U.S. as the new government tries to distance itself from policies of Haile Selassie. Continue to look to the U.S. as its major arms supplier, more for technical than ideological reasons. Should the U.S. be deemed unresponsive to Ethiopia's military needs, the new Ethiopian rulers will look elsewhere. So, we know that the Ethiopians have already made inquiries to the Soviet Union about aid. Moscow has indicated a willingness to provide Ethiopia with some military assistance, but Soviet officials have been very cautious. They have requested that detailed studies of Ethiopian needs be provided and said the Soviets would provide aid at levels permitted by Soviet resources. Moscow's differences stem in part from its reluctance to offend Somalia and thereby jeopardize Soviet access to military facilities there. So they were just playing people against each other because of their own personal gains. They had personal gains in Somalia and they had personal gains in Ethiopia. So they turn these people against each other, and they continue to turn these people against each other. But let's not get sidetracked, y'all. Let's not get sidetracked because we're talking about Beta Israel, and this people are the house of Israel. We're connecting the dots. Why would they hide the identity of these people? Maybe because they'll lose access to the resources that they're still benefiting from. And they have been benefiting from for years. Once you start revealing the truth, it connects the dots to the evidence. And then if you have the evidence, you have the truth, then you have a case against the people that did the crime. That's how I go. So, of course, the criminals are going to hide the evidence for as long as they possibly can. But because we're dealing with a government, we're dealing with politics, we're dealing with paper trails, we're dealing with people that were taken from one place to the other that had children. You can't hide this forever. The truth shall prevail and we shall reveal, and we're going to continue to blow the trumpets, and we're going to continue to connect the dots, and we're going to continue to show y'all that it all goes back to Ethiopia. The fact that the Soviets have not flatly turned down the Ethiopians suggests that Moscow thinks it can have it both ways in East Africa, as long as it does not give the Ethiopians too much. Addis Ababa is seeking more military aid because it believes Soviet arms deliveries to Somalia have given Madagascar the military edge. The Ethiopians are also trying to use their dialogue with Moscow to gain leverage in dealings with the U.S. for military aid. So you got Somalia getting military aid from, it looks like, Moscow, the Soviet Union, and the U.S. And they all breadcrumbing Ethiopia because what did it say in the beginning of this document? They wanted to create what did it say? What page we on? Because I want to come back to this 9. In the beginning, it said they wanted to create a division within Ethiopia. Let me find it. Okay, here it is. Somalia will not try to seize the Ogaden, which is Ethiopia. It's in Ethiopia, unless there is an almost complete breakdown in order inside Ethiopia. So they were creating a problem, creating a solution, and it only benefited them. So Most members of the ruling armed forces coordinating committee probably want to continue to rely mainly on the U.S. for military aid. They probably see Soviet aid as supplemental, but if the Ethiopians became dissatisfied with U.S. military aid, they could seek closer military ties with communist countries. Some of the radicals within the military committee are already pressing for a turn in that direction. Ethiopian military and civilian leaders are hopeful that Saudi Arabia and Iran, in addition to the U.S., will provide cash for arms purchases. Um, it says if the military should decide to take harsh action against Haile Selassie, they are likely to be even less responsive to Ethiopians' requests. Wow. Now, this part, if the moderates on the military committee are able to keep the upper hand, Ethiopia will probably maintain reasonably friendly ties with the U.S. and seek continued or increased U.S. economic and military assistance. A takeover by the radicals would probably lead rapidly to a substantial decline in U.S. influence in Addis Ababa. And we know for a fact, still today, that they have a very heavy influence in Addis Ababa. How do we know? Because we've shared the evidence. We've shared, they putting it on TV. It's in the news. It's not secret. Now, it is what it is. So, the house of Israel means the people who carry the mind of God. Israelites are those who reveal truth and prove God through their light. These things aren't opinions. It's facts. Linguistics, historical evidence, whatever you want to call it, it's facts. And it's Ethiopian tradition. Okay. There was something else that I wanted to share with you guys. It was oh yeah, the part where it was talking about Haile Selassie. Now, this was very interesting. So let me see if I can share this part right here. Now, this is on Wikipedia, and it talks about I'll just read a, let's see, Shaz, let's see, what does it say? Shashamane. Hold on. No, I don't want to do that. Let's see if I can. Okay. I want to share this one instead. Hold on, y'all. We live, so y'all know how it gets when we live. Gotta just do it how I gotta do it. Now, Shashamane. That's what it says. Give me 1 second, y'all. All right, so this was why I wanted to share the Wikipedia thing, but well, not really why I wanted to share the Wikipedia thing. The Wikipedia, it I looked it up because all of these things happened around the 1970s, and I knew that Haile Selassie offered land to I guess the scattered people, the scattered slaves from Africa, right? Now, y'all, all this is connecting. All this connecting. The CIA document that really is not about prophecy, but if we didn't have the Bible, we wouldn't know anything about the prophetic visions and the stories in the Bible, the prophetic stories, which all tie to Israel. Okay, the people that will prove that God is real. So it shows that it was outside powers that kept Ethiopia divided. And I can't remember exactly what part of the CIA document. I think it was the end part where it was talking about how Haile Selassie was corrupted, and then I thought about him giving away the land, and then in the CIA document it was talking about land reforms, and I was like, wait a minute now, wait a minute, hold on, because there's proof, there's more proof. Haile Selassie knew exactly who we were, so that's why in 1948 he granted land in Shashmain to the African diaspora, people stolen from their homeland generations, long ago. Or it might not have been that long ago, probably a couple of years before he was ruling. So this is what this Wikipedia page is talking about. So Shashmain is a city and I may be pronouncing that wrong, but hey, you can look it up and pronounce it however you want to pronounce it. So you hearing it right here? That's how I'm pronouncing it. Shashamane is a city in southern Ethiopia located in the Oromia region with a 2007 census population of blah, 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 blah. We don't want to know about all that. But I guess it matters. Population of 100,454 people, but with an estimate 208,368 people, inhabitants, not people. In mid-2022, the town is known for its Rastafarian community. A couple of years ago, the current town administration made a determined move to speed up the development, there go that word again, development of the town and answer the questions of the residents and is one of the fast urbanizing urban centers in Aroma regional state and has 17 subcities. And then it names all the subcities. So here's the history of that. Following the end of the Italian invasion in 1941, and Emperor Haile Selassie returned to the throne. He made plans to grant 500 acres of fertile land to Black refugees in 1948 in response to racism in the United States. I don't know if y'all knew that, but this is dots connecting, I hope. So Haile Selassie formed the first Ethiopian World Federation in Harlem, New York, and prepared a series of events to bond with African Americans for the Ethiopian culture before announcing the land grants. Why was he doing this with African Americans? Because, y'all, hello, I hope y'all are understanding what we're trying to tell you. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? Are you picking it up? Because this is right in our face. That CIA document, all of this information, all of these things were going on. All of it connects, y'all. We've even connected the dots beyond this point. We've connected the dots with Emperor Tedros and the British, Menelik and the British, the Papa Bulls and the British, and all of these connect to Israel, which are the people from Ethiopia. And those people that they took from those lands, they had children that had children that had children that had children. So somewhere, probably scattered across the four corners of the earth, those people that had children, those children, they are Israel. They are the people that would wake up and reveal the truth about these things. And all of this is about God's government being restored. That throne that all of these people that I just named sat on has to be restored. So there's order. Not just, y'all, why y'all think Hitler was talking about they took God's precious stones? They took the Jews from Africa. And then they took them over to the state of Israel, which was created in 1948. They took them in the 1970s, y'all. I hope the dots are connecting. Hitler was upset. Hitler might have, okay, y'all. He was talking about they took God's precious stones, the Jews. What jewelries, jewels, gems, God's precious stones. I hope I'm connecting it, because I'm breaking it down just as simple as I can. Now let's keep reading. Now it said they were talking about land grants, while one of the female members of the EWF, the Ethiopian World Federation. Now let's back up. The Ethiopian World Federation was formed in Harlem, New York. Let's go back. I don't know when the Ethiopian Federation was formed in Harlem, but if we're talking about some things that happened in the 70s, if y'all know what I know, let's think about paid in full. All that stuff. This is why they were flooding these areas with drugs, to destroy these communities. They wanted to destroy these people. Y'all, these are crimes against humanity. They did this on purpose. From the time that they discovered these people's ancestors in their homeland, they had a plot to destroy the minds of people that just wanted to just be. Y'all, this book, the Abyssinia and its people, I'm gonna get into it. I hope I can go back to that page. I've been reading this book and I ran across where, they were talking about how the people were, like it was describing the people, how they were and what they believed in, and their laws, like how they punished people it really wasn't even a punishment, because nobody was really doing anything to be punished. So yeah, that's crazy that Ethiopian World Federation was formed in Harlem. Let's see. Ethiopian World Federation is an intergovernmental organization. It was founded August 25th, 1937 in New York City under the advice of Emperor Haile Selassie and by Dr. Malaku Emmanuel, Princess Dorothy Bayen. Okay, so it was 1937. So by the 1970s, y'all, Harlem was infested with crack. Can I say that on YouTube? Chris ass. I seen I used to love watching those documentaries about how New York was back then with Alpo. Like I watched the story about Alpo, the documentaries. I used to watch all of that stuff, like, and it was horrible. It was horrible. So I don't think that was coincidence. They were trying to destroy the minds of those people. And what better way to destroy the minds of the people with deception and chemicals. Chemicals in the food, chemicals in the mind, poison in the mind with information, and literal chemicals, drugs. Okay. Now, Once information about the possibility of immigration to Ethiopia spread, many made plans to immigrate. Divisions of the EWF began appearing internally to take advantage of the land grant Haile Selassie left for African Americans. The official letter confirming the land grant of the 1948 was submitted to the members and executes and executives of the Ethiopian World Federation in New York City in 1955. The first West Indian family and Federation members were James Piper. Notice it said West Indian family. Indian. Okay, y'all, connect them dots. So the first Indian family and Federation members were James Piper and his wife Helen, who arrived the same year as the first land grant administrators, returning to make a permanent settlement in 1955 on behalf of the Federation. Haile Selassie visited Jamaica one time in an effort to get the natives to focus on uplifting their communities before visiting Ethiopia. Now, so the Jamaicans and the African Americans, huh? Okay, let's keep going. I hope y'all getting this. Haile Selassie, okay, I just read that. Haile Selassie visited Jamaica one time in effort to get the natives to focus on uplifting their communities before visiting Ethiopia. By the time he left, the entire community had certain that Haile Selassie was the second coming of Jesus. And they still believe that, and they think he is still alive. And y'all, they hit the nail, but they missed. He encouraged them to take care of the land that they had already been given in their own country. Haile Selassie left specific instructions with the U.S. and Africa pertaining to the land grant. African Americans were fed up after having fought in two world wars, excuse me, and were still denied land and civil rights in America. They had a very hard time. Listen, gosh dang it, I hope these attorneys and listen, if y'all are listening, all of our evidence for a case against whoever it needs to be brought against, because they promised our people certain things and did not deliver on those promises, because they committed crimes against humanity, because they stole people, they stole gold, they tricked people. We're suffering. We're still suffering. This war isn't over. It's still ongoing. And we're connecting the dots. Now, why are we connecting the dots? To gather the elect. To gather the elect. This is about the Hebrew Israelites. Remember? This is about Israel. It's about the people. This is about the prophetic vision that these people had about a group of people that would come in the end time following a real Christ figure, the real Christ. You know, Haile Selassie was not the Christ figure. He's not. He said he wasn't Christ. The Bible, the biblical stories, the origin of them, Ethiopia. Okay. That is the biblical land. There's no more denying. No more denying it. It's the proof is in the pudding. That is the biblical land. And obviously they're pointing out who those people are that this prophetic vision would be about. We're the people. African Americans, Jamaicans. This is why they came here Haile Selassie, to be specific, Haile Selassie came here. Why he come here? It looks like he formed an Ethiopian World Federation in Harlem, New York City, and prepared a series of events to bond with African Americans for the Ethiopian culture before announcing the land grants. Okay. Once information about the possibility of immigration to Ethiopia spread, many made plans to migrate. Divisions of the Ethiopian World Federation began appearing internally to take advantage of the land grants. Haile Selassie left for who? African Americans. They always trying to take advantage of stuff we supposed to get. Like it did. Y'all, damn it. It's crazy. It's ridiculous. But obviously, when you stop paying attention and not paying attention, but stop focusing solely on just one part of the slave trade, and you start researching and really looking into, okay, what about the East African slave trade and why are y'all trying to hide it? This is why. The land, y'all, the land. That's their biggest resource, land. Land is one of the main reasons why African Americans can't have their own nation. We don't have the land. But we do. We need to come together. We need to unite, not on religious biblical principles either. We need to unite. We need to come together. We need to come together at the round table to put this evidence together. All of this is to do what? To establish God's throne on earth. Bring heaven on earth. David shall never lack a king. So that's what all of this is about. Damn, what did I do with my mouth? Okay, so y'all, that's not this is just in plain sight. So the CIA document that I just read was talking about these things going on in the 1970s. I've connected it all to the Papa Bulls. I've connected it for you guys. We all are connecting it. The Emperor Tedros, Menelik, Haile Selassie, Ethiopia, the Israelite community, where it all started. Ethiopia, the House of Israel. Why was these things going on? Well, I brought up a Wikipedia page about Haile Selassie and land grants, giving land to African Americans and Jamaicans around the same time that U.S. military and the royal family had heavy interest in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, and it was all about land reform. Okay. Now, it says the first Rastafarian that settled in Ethiopia, Gladstone Robinson. He was a Jamaican cricketer who played in 3 first-class matches between 1963 and 1965. Was also an official delegate of a division of the EWF that went to Shajmain on behalf of the organization in June of 1964. Okay, now there was another, where is it? Hold on, y'all. I'm just reading something real quick. This was about Haile Selassie, and it just talks about he was emperor of Ethiopia from 1930 to 1974. He rose to power as the regent plenitoria of Ethiopia under Empress Zatu, which we've talked about in previous videos, was the daughter of Menelik, if I'm not mistaken. Widely considered to be a defining figure in modern Ethiopian history, he is a card divine importance in Rastafari and Abrahamic religion. Oh, Abrahamic religion. A few years before he began his reign over Ethiopian Empire, Selassie defeated Ethiopian army commander Ross. Okay, it just talks about, the things that he did, but let's look at something really quick in this book. I want to close this. Yeah, that's crazy how that connects to that CIA document. Let me close this, and I'm gonna go back to this because ain't no way. And I'm gonna play that video one more time. The video that we played in the beginning of the live. So I came back to the CIA document because, y'all, this document is titled Ethiopia, the Unfinished Revolution, October 15th, 1974. Yeah. They had already established that Haile Selassie was corrupt because of his dealings with probably the royal family. I think that was where is it? A book that it's not on, I don't have it on this computer, but it was a book that we read on a previous live that talked about the US in East Africa. Hold on one second. It was something that made me think about that. I lost my train of thought, but it was talking about how they were trying to create division in Ethiopia so that, basically so they could take over and have power there, and they could put a leader in place that they could basically control, which was Haile Selassie. If the moderates on the military committee are able to keep the upper hand, Ethiopia will probably maintain reasonably friendly ties with the U.S. and seek continued or increased U.S. economic and military assistance. All right, let's see. Let's get that book. Where is it? Did I close it? So yeah, y'all. It's no denying it. Beta Israel, House of Israel. Its origin is Ethiopia. Beta Israel had to be acknowledged by the state of Israel, which means the state of Israel had to acknowledge Ethiopia as the biblical land. They had to acknowledge Ethiopians as the biblical people. And this was in the 1970s. No more denying it. Let's see if I can find the highlighted part in this book that I don't think I can find it, y'all. Let's see where I was at. I don't know. I hope I can find it, but if not, we'll just pick up where we left off. Because there's more documents that I have to comb through, more CIA documents that have been released to the public. That's more evidence. Okay. Don't look like I'm gonna be able to find it. So I'm gonna end the live. I'm gonna share this video one more time. And then we're gonna end on that note. This is why I like playing the music in the background, because it's not any stale moments. I'm looking for the video that I just played. All right, we're gonna end on this. Let's see, we're gonna end with this video, y'all. I think I already closed it. Yeah, I did. But anyway. Here we go.
So y'all, let's talk about why we say Ethiopia is the biblical land. When you deal with the Horn of Africa, Ethiopia, you're dealing with a history that connects to the Bible in so many ways. It's crazy how people deny it. But in the late 1900s, they had an operation called the Operation of Moses that was set up by America and Israel. And it was to take Ethiopians from Ethiopia and bring them to Israel. Ethiopian Jews. Now, Ethiopian Jews didn't migrate to Ethiopia. Ethiopian Jews was already in Ethiopia. So for you to have this operation, and this thing going on, and people know nothing about it, and a lot of these documents were just released in the 2000s. So when we say Ethiopia is the bigger biblical land, y'all, all the higher ups, I wouldn't say all, but majority of the higher ups, they know these things. We don't know these things, so we can't fight for these things. So we can't never win the fight. Or we can't even play the game if we don't know stuff like this. You can't even, it's like you walk into the court and you watching everybody else play. That's what we doing. We watching everybody else play, but we can't play the game because we don't know the simple truth. The throne of David is in Ethiopia. The Bible come from Ethiopia. The first paintings of Jesus come from Ethiopia. The Solomonic dynasty come from Ethiopia. So when we say these things, they are so far-fetched from our people and our so-called conscious community to where what? We can't play the game. So how we gonna win if we can't play? So you wonder why we not winning. So if you're seeing this, we live, come join us. Let's talk about it. Peace.
So I hope that helps in connecting the dots. We are the generation of Emmanuel. We are in the end times. We have Hebrew Israelite camps claiming they are the people of the Bible. We have Christians claiming they are the people of the Bible. We have the state of Israel claiming they are the people of the Bible. Everybody's giving their own interpretation on the Bible. Everybody's saying that these things happened in the past, but according to the receipts and the facts and the proof that's being revealed, it's all lies. It's all lies that have been hidden from us for a reason. There's a reason they didn't want us to know these things, because if we knew these things, we knew where we came from, then we would know our identity and we could claim certain things that have been stolen, including your spiritual status, your sovereignty. So, yeah, House of Israel means the people who carry the mind of God. We've established that. Israelites are those who reveal the truth and prove God through their light. These aren't opinions, they're just patterns that match scripture, history, linguistics, and Ethiopia's traditions. Let's just say that. All of these things came from Ethiopia. That's the origin of it. That's what we're revealing to you. And I was going to share another video, but I don't think I'll be able to share it because I didn't have enough storage on my phone, sadly. But make sure that you don't miss the next live. And if you're not subscribed, subscribe. Why not? We're revealing things that you're probably not going to hear anywhere else. Nobody else is telling you that the biblical stories originated in Ethiopia. Nobody else is telling you that the U.S., the royal family, Soviet Union, all came together to turn Africans against each other for their resources so they could gain power over these people. Nobody else is talking about the covert operations that they named after biblical stories. Operation Moses and all the other operations that were named after biblical characters, where they took Ethiopian people from their land, telling them that they were taking them to Israel, when they already knew that these people were Beta Israel, which means they are the original Israel. They are the people. Israel. Israel is not a place on a map. It's a people. And they knew this. You're not getting this information anywhere else. So go on, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss the next live. Or, so you don't miss the upload. Go back and check out all the videos that we did on the Papa Bulls. It's not a coincidence that Angola was mentioned in these CIA documents, and that was the reason why I played the video in the beginning about the Angola prison in Louisiana. And I think in another live I mentioned that was one of the main ports for the East African slave trade. And it's not a coincidence that Angola still stands today, and slavery still exists there. It's just in a different form, under a different name. Okay. But I'm going to close this one out. Peace. See y'all on the next one.